Hello, I hope everyone is having a good day today. I'm very excited about this episode. So, as some of you may know, I have recently announced that I am the president and publisher for the Florida division of Imagine We Publishers. Not only will I be publishing my books through IW, but I will also help authors to publish and share their stories as well. Jessica Cassick is the CEO of Imagine We Publishing and the special guest today on this episode. So, Jessica, say hello and introduce yourself.
Hi. My name is Jessica, and obviously I'm the CEO of Imagine We Publishers. A couple things about me. First of all, I'm a single parent. It's the big thing that ended up being the thing, my drive for Imagine We Publishers. So I'm a single mom, and so I'm also a survivor of domestic violence, and so is my son. My son's turning 9 in a couple days. That's crazy. But when he was a newborn is when I became a survivor. So I decided that I needed to go back to school and get an education because I'm also partially disabled, sometimes fully disabled, depending on the doctor, from a car accident that was also 10 years ago. So all of that happened and I got my associate's, bachelor's, master's, and then now I'm finishing my PhD.
Wow. You're amazing.
Thank you. But during my master's degree is when I started getting real creative, and funny because my master's degree is in creative studies, and I launched my publishing company as an independent study. So I did the first 4 books of the company, everything. So I had the idea and I basically created the entire thing, the website, the business cards, the brochures, I did the entire LLC paperwork. I sent it in, all of that, and even made the news as well. And then 3 weeks later, I came back to class because all of that really happened in 3 weeks. And then there was the
wow.
And I came back to class and he's like, well, because, the teachers always ask you, what did you do over your break? And so I handed him a business card. And so his eyes were very teary eyed and his face was really red. And he's like, this is why I teach. And that was just one of those moments that has forever stood out to me. So after that, I did my PhD, and towards the end of the master's degree, I launched another company as a master's project. That's my charity. So now I have a for-profit publishing company and a non-for-profit that helps me with is basically the foundation of my PhD, helping domestic violence survivors through creativity.
I love that. That's amazing. So, and you're also a college instructor too, right?
Oh,
Don't forget that.
I always forget that because it was never on one of my plans. It was never a goal. I kind of fell into it. So I teach at 2 different colleges. I teach at Buffalo State College here in Buffalo. So I live in Western New York, but I teach at Buffalo State and I teach creativity there, creativity and success. I basically teach freshmen how to successfully get through college. Sometimes I try to get in there with as much creativity as possible and try to help them to strategize. I usually send them towards the individualized studies program because it lets them create the program that fits their specific needs for the future. And then I also teach at Niagara County Community College, and I teach speech classes and communication classes.
Wow. Busy. I love it. So that was quite the introduction. So now let's go ahead and kind of introduce Imagine We Publishing. Can you give everyone a brief overview of IW?
Okay, so we are in our 5th year. We officially closed on the 4th year at the end of 2020 and then launched 2021. Technically, if you want to be super technical, we're in our 5th year as of October 9th of 2020 because that was the day that I worked on everything. So we launched our 5th year this year, and we launched it obviously with you, Misty. And it's grown. Initially it was just when I was 15, I wrote this book about my depression. I basically wrote myself out of my depression by poetry and tracking how I was feeling and why I was feeling it and all of that stuff. And obviously anybody that knows anything or not you don't even have to know anything. Anybody that's ever tried to write a book and look into even the act of publishing, you always feel like there's a wall everywhere that you turn, because maybe you're not famous, or nobody knows who you are, you don't have that many friends, or you don't feel like your experiences are as amazing as Shonda Rhimes, who owns all of those TV shows.
That's so true.
So you hit all of those walls, and eventually, like when I was 15, I remember feeling very defeated, and I even got my dad, like I talked my dad into buying me my first computer, because I told him I was going to write a book.
Wow.
And then I couldn't do anything with it. And then by the time, however old I was when I was doing master's, I ended up deciding that I didn't need somebody else to tell me that I could do something, that I could do it myself, and that I wouldn't be the person standing in anybody else's way. So I started bringing in other publishers and publishing other people's works. And rarely do I ever tell anybody, no, I won't publish your work. For the most part, I'm like, how about we find an illustrator? Let's think about the direction that you want to go. But for the most part, like it's expanded from the 11 books in the beginning to we're over almost near 40 books now. And we've gone from children's books, and we're inching into chapters books. This year we'll have our first composite novel full of short stories. And now we're like branching out of the children's demographic and going more towards the teens and adults and all of that.
I love it so much. And I love that. Well, before I get to that point, so the book that you wrote when you were 15, you published that finally, right?
No.
No. Oh my God. I was going to ask, what's it called so we could look at it? Why not?
Because it's like the inner ramblings of a hormonal teenager.
I think it's perfect. That's my goal for you for this year. Oh my gosh. You should totally.
I've thought of it, but so when I was younger, I dealt a lot with depression, and I dealt with like things like self-mutilation and anorexia and all these like super dark things. And then we had this whole conversation about your book, the one that you envisioned sending out there, and I felt the exact same way. So I'm just like, I don't like.
You should. That's how I feel like a lot of young women at that same age, including myself, you know, I feel like that's normal. So here, like, you know, I think you should go for it.
It's been on my list of things to do, but I still have to do that like final chapter of like, hey, so now I'm not 16 anymore, and this is what I could have done differently, or this is what I ended up realizing one of the big problems that I suffered through depression was something that had happened to me that I didn't put enough importance on. I kind of like brushed it over, but it was a huge traumatic event that like dominoed everything that happened in my life until I met my abuser and left him.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty important.
I think you should. Yeah, we'll definitely come back to that. So speaking of goals, what are the future goals for Imagine We Publishing?
So I started with just wanting to publish books. And then when I first started the company, it was never my intention to like grow. I was just going to publish books, and that was just going to be it. But as I've gone through my education, obviously my personality grows. I learn more. I start to love a lot more things and wanting to encompass a whole lot more things. So the immediate goal right now is to be able to branch out and expand across the East Coast. So then once we're in once we have one Imagine We Publishers in each the states down the East Coast, up and down, then we'll go to the West Coast, and we'll just kind of like circle the United States initially, and then kind of go through there. But the biggest goal right now is expansion.
I love it. And that's what we're doing. That's where the East Coast comes in. And I love it. And I feel like this is going to be such a great like partnership, because, you know, I feel like everyone should share their story because it's so important. And there's so many people that go through these things that you and I have gone through, and they feel alone. And, you know, now we have these future generations coming in. Like, so I have kids, they're all teenagers, they're all, you know, feeling those things that we felt. And how do you communicate with them and let them know that that's normal, you know? And that's the beauty of like books and these children's books, because, you know, someone can pick those up and then be like, oh my gosh, I feel this way. And so I think that's the beauty of sharing, you know, your story.
Yes, I agree.
So, let's see what's next. So I'm excited about the direction that Imagine We is going. And, I know you have a lot of really cool projects coming up. So let's go ahead and dive into that.
Okay, so the first thing, so you're inching towards Chronically Empowered, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Chronically Empowered, and it's crazy because it was just one of those ideas that I like had on a whim, and I like went to the person. So I was on Instagram, and I had an Instagram for the no. So actually, not until this March have I had a business Instagram for a full year.
Oh, wow. That's
I
cool.
I was one of those people that went like inward, and I like hyper focused. So I created Instagram. That's what came out of the initial results of quarantine. I was
Oh, well, that was a great move. I love it.
I was stuck at home, and I'm like, okay, well, and how can I like improve upon things so that I don't just feel like I'm sitting here and rotting. So I went through and I did a whole bunch of research, and I started the Instagram, and then very soon I started tapping in. So that's when I found like the Spoonie, the idea of like a Spoonie, and I started doing a little bit more research because I had never heard of it before. I'm like, I don't understand what's with these spoons that I keep seeing.
Yes. And so for those who are listening and don't know what a spoonie is, I guess the easiest way to describe it is a spoonie is kind of like what those who have a chronic illness are called, because you have the spoons which equal energy, right? So there's like 12 of them you get each day. And if you shower or clean, that might cost you a spoon or two. So now you're limited. And of course, when you run out of spoons, like you're done for the day. So like for some people, they might use all of their spoons up. So I have to think of the name of who originated that. I'll have to find that and put it in the notes. But
I know it's a woman.
yes, that's the general concept.
So I stumbled onto the concept of Spoonie, and that's when I started like branching out and realizing there was just this entire like community inside Instagram that is all of people that understand what I go through on a regular basis.
Yes.
And then one of those people, if you look it up at the handle is like at Chronically Honest, and she basically does images. She's an illustrator. She illustrates what people are feeling every day. You can also go in and ask her to custom order specific things as well. But I came across her page and I liked it, and eventually like I'm watching her images go through. I'm like, I really like this. How can I like do something with this person? So I reached out to her. I was like, so I have this idea. And then I'm like, how about we do a book together? And she's like, sure. And then like 5 seconds later, I'm like, I just had this really great idea. She's like, what? Let's do a book of short stories where we just collaborate with a bunch of people across Instagram. We could do this like huge social media collaboration project. She's like, I love it.
Yes.
I think maybe by the end of that day is when I sent her back the link. I'm like, here, I created the webpage.
That's why I love you. You're like, yeah, hold on one second.
So it started out as just like I was inching because I wanted to be going in the direction of being able to expand upon the kinds of books that Imagine We does. I'm really great at doing all of the services and doing all the things to send out a really great children's book. And now I've gotten to the point where I can send out a really great children's chapter book, like an easy reader. But nobody's come to me yet with the novels or the memoirs, and mostly I assume
That's me.
mostly I assume that that's because when they go to the website, it's all children's stuff. So I guess I took this as the opportunity to kind of expand in the same way that I did when I first started the company. When I first started the company, the first 4 books were books that were by me. So then we do the chronic illness book. So that entire theme is all chronic illness, and then we divided it into 9 themes. And I picked the number 9 because I am celebrating my 9th year as a domestic violence survivor. I think it was like that day that I came to her with all this too.
Oh, I love it. That's awesome.
I'm one of those people that over the years I've learned that a lot of people can have an anniversary to a traumatic event come up, and they'll they'll usually, sometimes they grieve it, or they feel all these like negative emotions about that anniversary coming through. And I just like, I got sick of doing that all the time. So then eventually I decided that I was just going to change the story, and I started launching things for those specific things. So I launched both of my
Yeah.
companies in October, because October Domestic Violence Awareness. Um,
It's like
for
empowering.
Yes, exactly. You have full control over exactly what you do with the energy that you exert. You can choose to like sit there and dwell in the fact that this happened to me this so many years ago, and now I have this whatever is happening to me now. But um um I didn't want to do that anymore. So then this was my way of celebrating this last year that came through, all of that. And then all of the themes are words of affirmation, basically. So I am resilient, I am strong, I am worthy, things that people need to be telling themselves every day.
I love that. So, and people, anyone listening right now, why don't you tell them about the deadline and how they can contribute? I know I'm going to. I need to get on it. I need to hurry up. So tell everyone else how they can do it too.
Okay, so if you go to the website, it's imaginewellc.com, and then you can type in chronically empowered. That's the actual link, and Misty will include a link as well. But for the most part, you go to that link and it's going to walk you through the entire process. There's some guidelines, things that I want you to include in your story about things like, what do you love about your life? What what are you passionate about? Where's your drive? And then the big thing, because a couple different times we've had people that maybe they just didn't understand it. So there is a miscommunication about the themes. So when I ask you, you have to include 3 themes that you connect to. So you write your story. It has to be at least 2,500 words, around that ballpark. If you go over it by a couple words, I'm not going to disqualify you. But you write your story and you pick your 3 themes. It's because we're only going to have a specific number per theme. So basically the theme is a chapter. So when you submit it, you give me your 3 themes, because if the first one already has all of the submissions for it, it'll go to the second one and on to the third. 3 gives it, by the third one, you will get one of your themes. It's just where I'll be able to put you. But for the most part, deadline is February 14th, that I'm celebrating Valentine's Day with this.
Yay! I love it.
Nobody needs another person to feel like they need to celebrate Valentine's Day with another person.
Thank
We
you.
can all love ourselves.
I love it. I agree. I used to like, so like, just side note, I used to, in the last couple of years, I started to buy myself something on Valentine's Day. Well, no, it started before like I met my husband. So I think I was single that year, and I was just like, you know what? This is stupid. I don't need anyone to buy me something to make me feel good about myself. And I was feeling like super empowered that time. And I was just like, I bought myself a necklace. I went and had dinner by myself. Like, it was nice.
That right there helped you to build independence that day.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And honestly, like even just being in a relationship, it's still like, you can still do that. You can still, it doesn't always have to be, I feel like a lot of times people put that pressure on their significant other to fulfill that, when you don't have to do that. But anyway, sidebar. I love that. I just think that's so cool that you are celebrating Valentine's Day by doing something amazing. So good for you.
Thank you. You're doing something amazing too when you submit.
Yay. I know. I need to. I've had it on my calendar like every day, and I just keep sliding it to the next day. Maybe today will be the day.
Oh, and this is also for you and anybody that's listening. So there are there are people out there that have a really hard time either like creating their short story or sitting down to write it. You don't have to physically write it. You can go into Google Docs, and in the tools bar, it's one of the drop down. It's I think it's voice typing or something along those lines, voice typing, where you just hit that button and then a little microphone pops up and you push the microphone and you can talk to your computer and it types for you.
Yes, that is so cool. Yeah, the phone too. You can just sit there and record. I think they even have apps. I know when I used to interview people for like the magazine, you could just talk into it and it would just translate the whole thing, because I used to have to edit that, and that was not fun. But anyway, so speaking of like helping people out, I feel like we should go on to like the open house and the workshops and events. Let's discuss that, because that's exciting. I feel like a lot of people are scared maybe they have an amazing story, but they don't know like how to get that out.
Okay. So there's the open houses. Okay, so the open house is I've done open houses before, and it was basically where I did a pop-up shop with the company, and I brought along some authors, and then the authors signed books, and we answered questions, and the authors talked about their books. And it worked out really well, but right now we are in a global pandemic.
Yep.
So Misty and I had a conversation about all the different kinds of ways to get information to people. So obviously we can create posts and on Facebook and Instagram, and there's this podcast and there's blogs. But what we were trying to figure out the other different kinds of ways where people could gather information, because maybe they're not a visual learner, maybe they're not an audio learner. So we created a event, and we're calling it the open house, and it's you can look through the Facebook event. So if you go to the Imagine We Publishers on Facebook, one of the events is called our open house, and we plan to do them quarterly now, and it'll be the last Saturday of every month, as long as it's not a holiday or a book release day, because 2 of those days are swapped, but the last Saturday of every month or the last Saturday of every quarter. So this open house is a way for Misty and I to be able to get out in front of you, and we'll be doing them on Zoom. We might try it out on Facebook as well through the weird Facebook something that they just created.
Oh, the rooms.
Yes, Facebook rooms. But it'll be on Zoom, and we've organized it where we'll do introductions. So we'll tell you a little bit about ourselves and what our missions are. And then we'll talk about publishing as anything. And you can also ask questions. So anything that by the end of it, if you have any questions, I would say write down all questions during the open house so that you can answer it, or you can ask them. Maybe we answer them throughout it. But we're going to tell you how to get your work published, and it's not going to be hard. We are a full service comprehensive company, which means that we handle everything from the concept that you have in your head down through the completion of your tangible book and beyond. So we help with the production of your book. I can even help with coaching and consulting. Misty can help with coaching and consulting. And it's basically like, how do you take your idea of a book and bring it down? I also have 2 workbooks that are going to come out this year that are basically workbooks for children's books and adult books, telling you how to create a book. But
I love it.
I created them also during the beginning of quarantine.
See, it's not that bad. Quarantine's not that bad.
I did really good in the beginning of it. But we're just going to basically bring down the entire process, tell you what we do, which is everything, but tell you what we do, and answer questions, and basically get out in front of you so that you can get to know us and talk to us, and we are there. That's what we exist, to help you bring your book and your brain to a book on a table.
I love it. And we could probably discuss and work something out as far as if we wanted to record that. So that way, if anyone misses it, we could just send them the link. But otherwise, I will post the dates on this blog, this episode notes as well. So the dates for that, which is the quarterly ones. And then we are also, do you want to mention the workshops and events?
Sure. I'll do brief because I didn't put these specifics. So we were trying to figure out all the different kinds of events and workshops that we could create to help people throughout the process. So a bunch of them end up falling into the category of like the writing workshop. And then some of them are towards you as an author, or creating the foundation to build yourself as an author before you launch your book. And then others are a lot to do with advertising and marketing, because you can create your book and you can put it on a piece of paper, but if no one knows it exists, it's not going to sell. Right. So for the most part, we have created writing workshops about, Misty wants to do one about branding and advertising and creating the image that you want to create, so people can find your book. And for the most part, the sooner that you do this, the better, because the bigger your following is, the better your book is going to do. And then writing workshops about how to take your idea and put it down on a piece of paper, how to organize it, what we're looking for, what is a character, how do you create an entire group of characters, thinking about even things like, what does this person feel on a regular basis? What does this person struggle with? What is this person's goals? Because if you don't know your character, you can't write about your character. But for the most part, and also we are also always accepting ideas of different events and workshops that you want as well. So
yeah, so we want to just kind of collaborate and help other people. And, so if anyone who's listening to this, their dream or a goal or a mission they have is to write a book, get with us.
yes.
I love it. So, and another book that we were talking about doing that's like still and just like the little itty bitty first steps is the endometriosis book. So kind of similar to the Chronically Empowered. So if you go on Instagram, her name is Nikki, and I don't know if I pronounce it correctly, but Innabox. So it's INNA box design. And she has endometriosis, and she's this amazing illustrator. So I had asked her if she would want to illustrate the endometriosis book, and she said yes. So now we're going to kind of get that ball rolling. So that can be another one that others can contribute to and write for. So keep an eye out for that coming up. So what else do we have? What else?
So originally when we created the idea of Chronically Empowered, it was going to be the one book. And now because now we have the endometriosis book coming out. And so for the most part, if you fit into a specific kind, maybe a specific kind of chronic illness that you just want to read other stories about. So we'll have the regular one. So you'll see 30 to 45 different stories all about all people suffering all different kinds of chronic illness. And then we'll zone in and you'll be able to read about everybody that's suffering from endometriosis. So if there's a specific kind of chronic illness that you specifically want to read about, you can let us know, because we can definitely for sure put that book together.
Yeah, there's going to be so many, because like I already want to do a heart one. I have so many heart warriors. We've got, definitely the diabetes. We need to do one like that. Holy crap. We could go on and on about so many great advocates that I can think of that I think it'd be amazing just to have their stories and others. So definitely this year is going to be crazy. I love it. So is there anything else we want to include or discuss?
Would you like to talk about the Chronically Empowered advertising?
Yes, I think that would be great. Yes. So why don't you explain, like, in order to make this work, we like to include advertising, which is awesome because they kind of help support this and make it happen, but also it fits in. So it's not just like anybody. And then we have the options if you wanted to do like a memorial piece in there to like include someone's name, or just like really make it special and personalized as well. Those are options. So if you want to share that and give information, so anyone listening, if they're interested in supporting the making of this beautiful endeavor.
Okay. So the first off, at the end of every theme, so we have 9 themes. So at the end of every theme, we've dedicated 1 page for advertising. And so that doesn't mean you're going to be getting like advertising about like Google and like Five Guys. Do you have Five Guys in Florida?
Yeah.
Okay. So yes, that's a global company. So so you're not going to be seeing something about like Five Guys and their like French fries. So you're going to be seeing advertising about chronic illness themed businesses. So if this part of the conversation goes out to anybody that has a business, or if this can be businesses as in like an actual like LLC or corporation. This can also be charity organizations. This can also be somebody who has a podcast. This can also be somebody who has a blog or a YouTube channel, or a specific product that you've created, because I know a lot of people are creating specific products to help other people with chronic illnesses have a easier life or more convenient life with specific things. So this part of the conversation goes out to you. So at the end of every theme, we've dedicated it for 1 page, and that page is broken down into 3 parts evenly. So we'll have 3 ads on one side and 3 ads on the back. And again, you have to be connected to chronic illness, or you can be a business owner with a chronic illness, but somehow connected to the theme. And then at the end of every theme, you'll see this piece of paper that has the adverts. So this basically, when somebody is reading, you can go through and you can see what everybody is doing. It's basically also then turning the book. Not only is it the literature and the story sharing and the emotional connection that we can create just by reading each other's stories and connecting to each other, but we also create a resource where we will be able to share at least 54 different businesses with you that help people with chronic illness. And by the end of it, we'll have a directory where you'll see business name, phone number, website, that kind of information. And then to make it even better, for anybody, maybe you don't have a business, but you still wanted to support, or maybe you lost somebody due to a chronic illness and you want to help to bring honor to that. You can do an in-memory page. So we have an in-memory page and then a couple different options where you can have the person's full name and then their birth date and death date, or you can do a full name, birthday, death date, message, and a picture. And then we also have another page of sponsors. So this can also be businesses, but for the most part, we'll list the business's name, website, and logo. And then we also have space on the back of the book to be able to put those logos there as well. So those are the 3 specific types of advertising that we'll be doing for this book.
I love it. I think that's amazing. And I can think of a lot of really cool people right now that would be perfect for that. And so let's see, what else do we want to cover before we wrap up? So we've gone over all the exciting things that we have coming up. We have the workshops, these new books.
So all of the money for the advertising and the sales from the books goes to being able to create and launch our grant and scholarship opportunities for people with chronic illness as well. So we'll be able to offer scholarship opportunities and grant opportunities, and maybe we even be able to turn that into being able to specifically give somebody with a story that they want to share publishing services so that they can get their book out there. But scholarships, grants, all of that, all inclusively, just to be able to. So we have the book, we have the directory of information, we've shared people that we miss that have lost it. We have our sponsors that are helping us and we'll be thanking them. And then we have the directory in the back of the book and the scholarship and the grant. Like, I'm trying to get as many things out there. Like, if you have an idea of something else that we can create from all of this, like, please let us know.
Oh yeah. I think we've got a lot of really cool things to give and to offer, because we really love and care about this community that we're in. And we know that it's important to share everyone's stories. And we know that a lot of people don't know how to do that. And that's where we come in. So it's great to be able to help other people. And we have so many amazing people to collaborate with. And it's just going to be amazing to get all of these different stories out there from everybody, like as a whole, like collective. So I'm excited.
I'm super excited to like hold the book in my hand.
Yes, it'll be so rewarding and amazing, especially like if anyone listening, if you contribute, like how cool would that be to be able to like have this tangible thing where you can flip through, see your story and every other person's story that's also like-minded and that has kind of had similar experiences in their life, so it'll just be great to like contribute to the cause, raise awareness, because that's always been my mission. I know that's your mission as well, is raising awareness and getting the education out there, because we needed that at the time when we had our diagnosis or our experience. And because of that, I feel like that's kind of shaped us. And now we don't want that for the future. We don't want people to have to suffer silently, and that's where this starts. So, yay. Thank you.
Also in 2021, where the company is launching a line of merch. So if you look on the website, you'll see different kinds of merch, but for the most part, I've been outsourcing a lot of that. So I'm bringing everything in home this year. So for all of our mission books, and we're creating a line of merch so that we can offer discounted prices to organizations and charities for the mission books. So we'll have wall posters. That's what we've started with. Bookmarks, mugs, stickers, bumper stickers, t-shirts, hoodies, tank tops. And this also goes to Chronically Empowered. So all of the Chronically Empowered book will also come with a line of merch that you can choose from as well. And I'm picturing, the one I'm specifically picturing is having the book cover and then having everybody send me their like PNG of their signature, and then throwing everybody that has done the submissions onto the thing and having their like, so that it looks like they signed the poster.
Oh, I love that. That's so cool. And I mean, technically then they kind of would have signed it if it's yeah, I love it. Very cool. Well, thank you so much. And we definitely are going to do this again. We'll have more of these as we, or more episodes as we have like new and exciting things. And I would definitely love to do an episode just on like your specific story with domestic violence and the car accident. And I feel like that's also something that would be a really great topic and to cover. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Please be sure that you subscribe to the blog, which is bluedreamhealth.com, where you can find additional links and information on this episode. You can also check out the digital magazine on our website, as well as find us on Patreon, where you can be a supporter.